All right, so now that we got all that out of the way, let's get into the last bit of news I kind of wanted to go over here today. And that is, of course, as a pro wrestling fan here on the channel, I do want to kind of get back into discussing a little bit on pro wrestling. So what I want to get in here first is, of course, the review for tonight's WWE NXT Halloween Havoc. Yeah, their Halloween spectacular here on NXT, the rebrand of NXT, which I'm not going to lie, I've not been a big fan of. A lot of things that WWE is doing right now. The rebrand of NXT was definitely one of them, but I thought it was, and I'm not going to lie, I didn't see a whole lot of the show, but from what I did see, I did want to discuss a few things about it that I thought was really cool. First of all, we had a lot of title changes on this show, especially, except for the one that everybody, I think, assumed was going to change hands here. The show opened up with Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne defeating Io Shirai and Zoe Stark and Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta in a Scareway to Hell ladder match for the NXT Women's Championships, the Tag Championships. Gigi Dolan and Jacy Jayne win the titles here. There was definitely one spot in this match where Indy Hartwell knocked Io Shirai over the top off the ladder, and she bounced off a ladder, and oh my gosh, I felt so bad for Io Shirai here. I hope she's okay. I hope there's nothing wrong with her here, but I'm glad to see that this match was on paper. To me, I was just worried because a lot of these talents in NXT right now are very green, and you got to be very careful with putting certain people in the ring and doing certain types of matches. Ladder matches can be very, very dangerous, and I hope that everybody is okay in this match here. But again, title change here right away with these new ladies here from Toxic Attraction, and I can't wait to see where they continue to build this. And I will say NXT, especially tonight, I feel like it was probably, from what I saw of it, the best show that they've had up to this point. So that's a good thing moving forward for the NXT brand. I know a lot of people were very skeptical, myself included, about the rebranding of the show, and I hope that they will continue to build on these characters and stuff like that. So I understand what they're doing here, and we'll see what they do with it. And I got some hope. Well, I'm a little more optimistic about NXT 2.0, as we used to call it here on the channel, than I was before. So next up is we had a cinematic feature here, a lot of comedy between Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano. So I recommend go checking that out. But I don't want to spend too much time on it. I kind of want to go through this kind of quickly here. Joey Gacy defeated Malik Blade. It was a glorified squash match, so nothing a whole lot to really write home about here. During the bout, Harlan was shown throughout the building like he was Michael Myers. They're definitely playing up on the Halloween aspect on this show, which makes some sense for Halloween Havoc. But for pro wrestling, there's a fine line between doing that and being too goofy. So I hope it didn't really cross that line here. But anything with, Dexter Lumis and Johnny Gargano had to be gold here, no doubt about it. We had an NXT Cruiserweight Championship match. Roderick Strong defeated Odyssey Jones. It wasn't a championship match. I'm sorry. It was a non-title match here. Strong pinned Jones after outside interference. That's kind of WWE's MO a lot of times nowadays, is the interference and stuff that leads to the distraction finish type of stuff. So hopefully, they don't go too crazy with that. Mandy Rose defeated the NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez in a trick or street fight to win the title. So they were definitely doing this spin the wheel stuff throughout the night with the Scareway to Hell. We got the trick or street fight, and I think we had a Lumberjack-O-Lantern match. So definitely playing on the Halloween theme, and of course wrestling, street fights, or Lumberjack and Lumberjack-O-Lantern. See what they're doing there. Very clever. So there's nothing wrong with that here. But during this match, though, we've got the return of Dakota Kai. She came in as a cloaked figure and stood over Gonzalez after the match was over. And then she even I believe she was hit from behind, and of course that's what led to Raquel Gonzalez losing the title here. So Good to see Dakota Kai back. It looks like they're going to be continuing the feud between Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez that they've been doing in previous months. And it looks like Mandy Rose is going to be getting a bit of a push here on NXT 2.0. And Toxic Attraction now have all of the women's titles here on NXT. So interesting to see there. We had a few other things. Imperium defeated NXT Tag Champions MSK to win the title. So again, another title change here. New start, fresh start, even though Imperium and MSK both are kind of NXT veterans at this point. It's good to see Imperium get the titles here. I think it's been a little bit long time coming here for Imperium. So good to see that for those guys. We'll see if Walter ever makes another appearance here on the main brand, or if he just continues to kind of run things from afar in the UK. Then, of course, we had the main event, which is the thing I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit the most here. And that's, of course, NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa defeated Braun Breaker to win to retain his NXT championship and keeping Goldie around his waist. I'll tell you right now, Braun Breaker he's got a lot of talent, and he's got a lot to be, excited about going into his future. But I kind of agree with the idea to not put the title on Braun Breaker just yet. I know I for one, thought there was no doubt that Braun Breaker was going to win the NXT championship here, because it just felt like WWE was kind of putting the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, of the old NXT brand here. And to submit that and to drive that nail through, it would have made sense for them to put the title on Braun Breaker. While I believe he's got a bright future ahead of him, because he's got a lot of talent. He's good on the mic. He's good in the ring. He's got the look. He's got it all. And I think if they continue to build him up, he could be one of the better superstars to come out of NXT, and we'll see what they do with him. But I think the keeping the belt on Tommaso Ciampa is the best thing, especially because what's Tommaso Ciampa going to do outside of the championship, picture here? I mean, he strikes me as a guy who would maybe leave the company at some point. Some of these former NXT guys used to be during the old NXT brand would probably be better served in other companies at this point. Not saying it has to be AEW or Impact or wherever, but some of these guys are not going to have a future on the main roster. So, I mean, guys like Johnny Gargano, Roderick Strong, Tommaso Ciampa, some of these guys are not going to have a bright future up there, I don't think, because they're just too small in Vince McMahon's eyes. But a guy like Braun Breaker, he's got a big future, and hopefully they're not thinking about calling him up to the main roster already. I think he's still got some work to do in NXT before it gets to that point. But good to see Tommaso Ciampa retaining the belt here, and it sounds like, again, like Halloween Havoc was one of the better NXT shows since the rebrand anyway. It was their first big pay-per-view on USA, if you want to call it that. But we'll see what happens when they do a pay-per-view. If they do another NXT pay-per-view for a while, I don't know what the scheduling is for the takeovers. I don't think they've got any planned right now, but I think eventually you maybe do some on the WWE Network on the Peacock service or something. But for right now, I got no problem with them just doing specials on the USA Network. Dynamite does the same sort of thing every few months instead of doing pay-per-views all the time as well. So I think there's nothing wrong with that. So we'll see what they do. So I'm encouraged by what happened tonight on NXT Halloween Havoc, but we'll see where they go.
We about to turn it on.